Hi, my name is Emily, and in the beginning, at a young age, my mom was diagnosed with lupus, and both of my parents have staring at me like that. Okay, can't we read this?
Sure. Okay, and this is Emily, take two.
So, at a young age, my mom was diagnosed with lupus, and my dad had a heart attack, and so my aunt, I told her there was nothing I could do and my life was going to be sucky, but she's the one that told me if I talked to God, he could possibly help me. So she took me to church a lot, and she told me about church camp in 4th grade, and I started going, and this one time I saw a girl standing by the lake, and I started talking to her, and we talked a lot, and she helped me understand God better in a way that I never thought I would. So we kept talking. I invited her to eat dinner with me, and so after church camp I decided I was going to confess to Christ that I did want this to happen, and after I got baptized, life was starting to get a lot better.
Since the start, my mom brought me to church. I've always been raised with Christ, and since a young age I always had questions and did not fully understand when I was younger, but I still loved Jesus and wanted him in my heart. But my testimony goes different than others. This was the beginning. As I grew, my faith and understanding of Jesus developed, but my faith was still weak. I didn't understand how Jesus worked yet, and I still wanted to go to heaven. And one day I asked my mom if I could be baptized through tears. But like I said, my testimony is different, and my baptism was not the point at which I was saved and fully came to Christ. Time passed, and I thought my place in heaven in Christ was fully secured, like I was just golden. But my belief was still strong, but when I fully came to Christ, it was after my first fiery trial. A major health crisis brought me closer to Christ than I've ever been, because I thought that it would destroy my faith. Yet I never stopped praying because I knew that Jesus was my only chance, even though I was spiteful and bitter. And when I came to Christ was when I was healed, and it was so sudden that I knew it had to be a miracle. There was just no way medical science could have, justified a turnaround that quick. It was in a matter of a week. And it was just so strange to me. I knew it was a miracle, and I learned so much about God and myself in that time, and that's when I came to Christ. That's it.
Okay, I'm Tyler Waymeyer, and this is my testimony. So I was born into a Christian family. My parents were really dedicated believers, also my grandma. I kind of believed in Christianity because of my parents. I just went to Sunday school and was pretty involved with the church because of them. Ever since we moved houses, and we went to different churches. We would go to different churches every couple months, and I kept questioning myself. I questioned the Word of God, I questioned His plan, and whenever I finally went to Valley Baptist, I went to a camp, Jeunesse Park, I'm pretty sure. I felt convicted. We were worshiping God, and I was just sitting in the back by myself. And I started sobbing. I just felt God's love for me in His presence, and I knew the Christian God was right. And then I still had questions, but I started testing it with Scripture, all the things inside of my heart, and I felt less guilt. I felt God's love. I still felt convicted. I still sinned every day, but I felt convicted, and I rebuked it. And now that I'm following God, He changed my life, and He's showing me what it means to be a follower of Christ. And that's my testimony.
Hi, my name is Haley, and in the beginning I always kind of grew up in like a Christian home. I always knew about God, but there have been so many things that stunted me from wanting to be close to God. Some things were, if there was a God, why is there so much murder, rape, just things that happen to people every single day. Animals that had died. But then we had finally become like financially unstable, and then we finally started getting to church and knowing God. Through that time, I had seen my brother, Jeremiah, get closer to God, and he, let's just say he was a bad kid, and I kind of was like him. I did a lot of things at my school that I was not proud of. vape and stuff like that. Not to get into details about it, but then I started slowly seeing my brother get to the point where he was being more Christ-like, and I remember I wanted to be more like him, so I started following his steps. And then when we were in summer camp, me and him were praying and talking, and they were doing baptisms. And although this wasn't my point of exactly being saved, this was a point of a new life for me. I had been baptized, and from then I still struggle, but the Christian life isn't promised to be easy. And I am noticeably happier, and my grades are better, so yeah, that's my testimony.
Excellent. Well, again, name.
My name's Dani, and I was raised in a church family. And when I was young, I was very shy, and I had uneasy to talk to people, and I just couldn't describe what the questions I wanted to in Jesus. And so after that, I had gotten saved because I was in church family, and I'm like, okay, I should get saved because I know enough stuff about Jesus to be like, okay, yeah, this is true. This is what I want to believe in. And I really struggled with that, and I had a hard time talking to him every day. I'd forget, and then I didn't have any friends, close friends, to guide me to where I am now. And because when I was young, I was shy, and so it went deeper into what I was doing. I'm so confused. But I got more mature, and I was like, okay, I need to start talking to Jesus more, and nowadays I'm able to talk to him much better, and I try to pray every day, and that's my testimony.
That's all right. Hi, I'm Joe Brown, and this is my story. As a child, I grew up in a Catholic home, and so I learned a lot about God. I learned a lot about reverence for God, but I never learned about having a personal relationship. And because of that, I was a little insecure. I didn't know where my place was in the family of God. I had a great family and a great church experience, although it was just a church experience. It wasn't a heart Jesus experience. And so this gal, a girl, asked me or invited me to her church to hear this special group that came and gave a story. So I said, sure, I'm interested in the girl, so might as well. And so I went, and it was really a life-changing moment for me. The group, they started sharing all about forgiveness and having being in the family of God, and I believed that. But I still had questions. I wasn't quite sure about all this come to Jesus stuff. And so I didn't go forward when they had the little altar call, and I didn't pray with the guy afterwards. I simply went home and said, okay, I'm going to think about this. And I had a restless night sleeping, but the next morning I finally realized I need to ask Jesus to forgive my sins. I needed to make a personal decision for Christ. And so I did. I was actually taking a shower. And so I was getting ready for school, and I was taking a shower, and it hit me that I need to do this. So I prayed right there in the shower. I said, dear Jesus, please forgive me of my sins. That is so stupid of me to sin like that and to run my life the way I want to run it. I said, use me, God, and use me for your glory. And so nothing changed really, except I had a sense of security, a sense of belonging to the family of God. And as that sense grew, I began to be bolder in my faith, and eventually I became a youth pastor and a pastor, and do a lot of stuff for Jesus now, and I'm loving it.
I forgot how to breathe.
So I'm just being honest, okay? So.
As soon as the camera comes on.
Oh my goodness, totally.
Well, are you ready, sir?
Okay, I'm ready.
Action.
My name is Jason Maples, and this is my testimony. I was raised in a family that went to church, and so I spent my whole life going to church and never knew Jesus. Through that time as I was growing up, I have been the king of sinners. I lived in a frat house. If you name it, I've probably done it. And so, not to say that I'm proud of that, but I'm more proud of the day that my life changed. And so what happened is that I had hit a real low, almost on the verge of divorce, and I I went to the place that you should go. I went to the church. And why did I go to the church? I went to the church to find my mom, because my mom was at church and I wanted to go to lunch with my mom and talk to her. When I got there, the church was in this sanctuary. There was no sanctuary back in the day over there, so it was just the MP. And what happened was, in those days, everyone went in and out, so you got pinned in. And I got pinned in an aisle and could not find my mom, which is what I was there for. And I got pinned in an aisle, I couldn't get out. And so the service started, and as the service started, I was stuck there. The sermon that day from Pastor Roger was about the lost coin, the lost sheep. And so as the service was continuing, man, tears are just coming down my face. And I got to a point where I was like, you know, I hear you talking to me, God. So invitation happens at the end of every service, am I right? And so as I head out at the invitation, I turned and walked out the front doors to my car and drove away from the church, running from the church. And as I was driving down Hageman, tears are strong. I can't even see the road. So I flipped around and came back, and this part I'll try to get through. As I get back to the church, I come back and everyone's filtering out and filtering back in again. I come up the side and Pastor Roger's in the front. As I go to the front, tears are just coming down my face. As I get to the front, Pastor Roger puts his arms around me and says, I know. And I was just floored. I got baptized that night. And from there, my road has just been, you know, all roses, right? No, it's been up and down. It's been highs, it's been lows. But all I can say is that life with Christ, when He transforms your life, is just amazing. That's my testimony.
If I told you my story, you would hear hope.